Have you ever stopped to think about how a simple act of kindness can transform lives and open unexpected doors? Imagine this scene: a young street vendor, struggling to survive on the city streets, witnesses an injustice at a fancy restaurant. An elderly woman, tired and hungry, is treated with disdain and about to be expelled simply because of her modest appearance. Without hesitation, the vendor decides to intervene, paying the woman's bill and not only saving her day but also igniting a spark of hope and humanity. What seemed like a small and spontaneous act ends up triggering a series of surprising events. The next day, an unexpected phone call transforms the vendor's life in ways he could never have imagined. Are you ready to discover how generosity can open doors you never dreamed of? The young street vendor was a familiar figure on the bustling streets of the big city. With a constant smile on his face, he walked back and forth, selling small accessories like bracelets and necklaces that he made himself. Despite the financial hardships he faced daily, his generosity was remarkable. It was common to see him helping others who were less fortunate, whether by offering a snack or sharing the little money he managed to earn. This behavior was not just a demonstration of his kind nature, but also a way to connect with the humanity around him. Born into a humble family, the vendor learned early on the value of solidarity. He believed that even in adversity, true wealth lay in small acts of kindness. For him, life on the streets was an opportunity to encounter diverse stories and understand human complexities. Often, he felt that people, caught up in their routines, forgot the importance of a simple act of kindness. Thus, he became a living example of how generosity could transform someone's day, even if in a subtle and unexpected way. The vendor's routine was not easy, but he always sought to see the positive side of situations. When sales went well, he celebrated with a small luxury, like a hot coffee or a sweet roll from the corner bakery. On difficult days, he found comfort in the idea that his work gave him the chance to interact with a variety of people, each with their own stories and challenges. And it was on one of these days, while strolling along the sunlit sidewalks, that a peculiar situation led him to a meeting that would change his life forever. On that day, an elderly woman entered the city's upscale restaurant, a place known for its selective clientele and sophisticated atmosphere. Her modest appearance sharply contrasted with the luxury around her, and her tired face revealed a life of challenges. The elderly woman, dressed in simple clothes and carrying a worn-out bag, seemed out of place amidst the opulence of the establishment. However, her eyes sparkled with a mix of curiosity and nostalgia, perhaps recalling past times or simply enjoying an atmosphere she had not experienced in a long time. As she sat at one of the tables, the elderly woman began to peruse the menu with some discomfort, clearly aware of the judgmental looks around her. The restaurant staff, noticing her presence, exchanged looks of disdain and whispered maliciously. Unfortunately, the harsh reality is that appearance often dictates the treatment one receives. She ordered a simple meal, perhaps seeking only a moment of rest and a bit of comfort. However, the treatment she received was not welcoming but dismissive, a sad reflection of the superficiality of many. While waiting for her meal, the elderly woman was approached by a waiter who, upon checking the order, noted the simplicity of the dish and the modest value of the order. Suspicious and prejudiced, he approached with an arrogant and rude demeanor, making it clear that this was not a place for people like her. The elderly woman, visibly embarrassed, tried to explain her situation but was met with harsh words. This moment of tension and humiliation is unfortunately a reflection of how society often fails to recognize true humanity in people, judging them solely by their external appearance. The situation escalated when the waiter, losing all composure, began to raise his voice, demanding that the elderly woman leave the restaurant if she could not pay for her meal. The woman, stunned, tried to explain that she was there to reminisce about good times and intended to pay for what she had consumed, but the waiter remained inflexible. His loud voice drew the attention of other diners, who began to watch the unfolding scene, some with morbid curiosity, others with discomfort. The atmosphere in the restaurant grew tense, and the elderly woman's embarrassment was palpable. As the commotion continued, some people whispered among themselves, commenting on the situation with a mix of indignation and disinterest. However, no one intervened to help or defend the elderly woman. The waiter, feeling supported by the lack of reaction from those present, continued to humiliate her, claiming that the restaurant was not a place for people without means. This attitude not only demonstrated a lack of empathy but also a failure to recognize the dignity of each individual, regardless of their financial situation. It is a reminder that humanity can sometimes fail in its generosity and understanding. At this critical moment, the elderly woman began to rise, tears in her eyes and dignity wounded. She looked around, perhaps hoping someone would speak up, but only found indifferent faces. She was about to leave when a firm and unexpected voice was heard. It was the street vendor, who had been watching the scene with growing indignation. He stepped forward, breaking the uncomfortable silence and declaring that he would pay for the elderly woman's meal. The surprise was universal. No one expected someone so simple, who sold small items on the streets, to show such courage and generosity. This unexpected gesture brought a breath of humanity to the environment, transforming the tense atmosphere into something more welcoming and hopeful. With a determined posture, the street vendor approached the elderly woman and the waiter, breaking the ice with a friendly smile. Without hesitation, he declared that he would pay the woman's bill, easing the tension in the air. The waiter, taken aback, was momentarily speechless, while the elderly woman looked at the young man with a mix of gratitude and relief. It was a simple gesture but loaded with meaning, especially in an environment where a person's worth seemed tied to their purchasing power. The street vendor's generosity was a ray of light amid the darkness of indifference. This act of kindness did not go unnoticed by the customers around. Some began to murmur among themselves, commenting on the young man's unexpected intervention. Generosity often has a contagious effect, and that's exactly what began to happen. The atmosphere in the restaurant, which had previously been one of judgment and disdain, started to change. The surprise was widespread. No one expected someone who seemed to have so little to show such great wealth and character. This turnaround brought a silent reflection among those present, about the true value of people and the importance of acting with humanity. As the vendor paid the bill, he exchanged a few kind words with the elderly woman, who was still emotional. He said he understood how it felt to be judged by appearance and that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their circumstances. With that, he not only paid for a meal but also restored the dignity of someone who had been unjustly treated. The elderly woman, touched by the gesture, thanked him deeply, holding his hands affectionately. She discreetly asked for the young man's phone number, perhaps intending to stay in touch or find some way to reciprocate his kindness. Thus, the vendor not only demonstrated material generosity, but also a deep understanding of the human condition. The elderly woman, still moved by the unexpected kindness she received, looked at the street vendor with tear-filled eyes of gratitude. She thanked him repeatedly, her voice choked with emotion conveying the depth of her feelings. It was rare to find, in such a large and impersonal city, someone willing to help so selflessly. For her, that gesture meant much more than just paying for a meal. It was a reaffirmation that there was still generosity in the world. As the customers and staff watched, the elderly woman shared that she rarely frequented expensive restaurants, but this place held a special meaning for her. She explained that the restaurant was one of the last places where she had dined with her late husband many years ago. Since then, she had avoided the place, perhaps due to fear of the memories or simply because she found it difficult to fit into such a luxurious environment. However, on that day, something motivated her to revisit the past, perhaps seeking some form of reconciliation with her memories. The vendor's surprising gesture not only alleviated the discomfort of being treated with disdain, but also brought forth the humanity and empathy she had missed. It was a transformative moment, where she realized that there was still room for small daily miracles. Before leaving, the elderly woman, wishing to express her gratitude more concretely, asked the vendor for his phone number. She said she wanted to keep in touch and perhaps find a way to reciprocate the act of kindness. With a shy smile, the young man gave her his contact details, not imagining what that small gesture might mean in the future. For him, helping was a matter of principle, an opportunity to make a difference, however small, in someone's life. The elderly woman, in turn, left the restaurant feeling deeply touched and determined not to let that act of kindness go unnoticed. And so, the wheel of life turned, with destiny preparing another surprise. The street vendor's generous gesture quickly spread through the community, causing a wave of admiration and respect. Those who witnessed the scene at the restaurant shared the story with friends and family, highlighting the contrast between general indifference and the young man's courage. News of his act of kindness spread like wildfire, reaching local newspapers and social media, where the story was celebrated and shared widely. The vendor's action was more than just a good deed. It became a symbol of how empathy and kindness can break through societal barriers and inspire others. The story captured the public's attention, leading to numerous discussions about how a single act of kindness could ripple through a community. Many people began to question their own actions and attitudes, reflecting on how small gestures could make a significant difference. In the days that followed, there was a noticeable increase in acts of generosity in the city. People seemed more willing to help strangers, and local organizations reported a rise in volunteer activity. The vendor's action demonstrated that kindness has the power to inspire and create a more compassionate society. As the story gained momentum, some media outlets and community leaders took the opportunity to highlight the importance of empathy and respect in everyday interactions. The street vendor, who had initially performed the act of kindness out of simple generosity, found himself in the spotlight, receiving invitations to speak at local events and participate in interviews. He used these opportunities to emphasize that the real message was not about personal recognition, but about encouraging others to act with kindness and understanding. The day after the incident, the street vendor received an unexpected phone call. To his surprise, it was the elderly woman from the restaurant, who introduced herself warmly and asked if they could meet. The vendor was curious but pleased, thinking that she might want to express her thanks or perhaps discuss how to help others in need. They agreed to meet at a cafe near his usual spot on the street. When they met, the elderly woman arrived with a sense of urgency and excitement. She explained that she wanted to thank the vendor in person, but also had another important reason for their meeting. With a hint of excitement in her voice, she revealed that her family had a business that was facing challenges, and she believed the vendor might be able to offer valuable insight or assistance. The vendor, intrigued and eager to help, listened carefully as she explained the situation. The elderly woman's family owned a small but struggling company, and they were looking for fresh perspectives and innovative ideas to revitalize the business. The conversation quickly turned to discussing the vendor's own experiences and ideas. The elderly woman was impressed by his creativity and problem-solving skills, which he had developed through his experiences as a street vendor. She proposed a potential partnership or consultancy role, seeing an opportunity to combine his fresh ideas with their business needs. For the vendor, this unexpected offer was a surprising turn of events, an opportunity he had never anticipated. It was a chance to use his talents and experiences in a new context, and he was eager to explore the possibilities. The street vendor's new opportunity unfolded rapidly, and within weeks, he began working closely with the elderly woman's family. Initially, he contributed as a consultant, offering insights on customer engagement and innovative marketing strategies. His unique perspective, shaped by his experiences on the streets, brought fresh and valuable ideas to the table. The business, which had previously struggled to attract customers, began to see improvements in both customer satisfaction and sales. The vendor's involvement in the business was not just a job, it became a platform for him to apply his skills in a meaningful way. His role grew beyond consultancy, and he started participating in strategic planning and decision-making processes. The business began to flourish, and the vendor's contributions were instrumental in turning things around. As a result, the elderly woman's family was able to achieve greater stability and success, and the vendor found himself in a position he had only dreamed of before. The relationship between the vendor and the elderly woman's family developed into a strong and respectful partnership. The vendor's ideas and hard work were recognized and valued, and he became an integral part of the team. The family, in turn, appreciated his dedication and innovative thinking. This new chapter in his life was not just a career opportunity, but also a testament to how one act of kindness can lead to unforeseen and positive outcomes. Reflecting on the journey from street vendor to business consultant, the young man marveled at the transformation his life had undergone. The act of kindness he had performed without expecting anything in return had opened doors he never imagined. He realized that the impact of his simple gesture had not only helped the elderly woman, but had also set in motion a series of events that changed his life. This experience reinforced his belief in the power of kindness and the importance of staying true to one's values. He often thought about the people he encountered on the streets and how their stories could intersect with his own. The vendor's new role allowed him to contribute to something larger than himself, and he took pride in knowing that his actions had made a tangible difference. He continued to work diligently, using his position to support the business and mentor others. His story became a source of inspiration, showing that even in the most challenging circumstances, kindness and integrity can lead to remarkable opportunities. The street vendor's journey highlighted the importance of empathy and the positive ripple effects that small acts of kindness can create. It served as a reminder that everyone has the potential to make a difference, regardless of their circumstances. The vendor's story became a powerful example of how generosity can transform lives and inspire others to act with compassion and understanding. The story of the street vendor and the elderly woman became a local legend, a testament to the enduring impact of kindness. The vendor, now a respected figure in the business community, continued to champion the values of empathy and generosity. He used his platform to advocate for social responsibility and encourage others to contribute positively to their communities. His story was shared in various media outlets and served as a reminder of the potential for good in every individual. The elderly woman, grateful for the street vendor's help, remained an active supporter of charitable causes and used her experience to inspire others. She often spoke about the importance of recognizing the humanity in everyone and the power of small acts of kindness to create significant change. Together, they continued to work on community initiatives, demonstrating that their partnership was not just a business arrangement but a shared commitment to making a difference. In the end, the legacy of kindness created by that single act continued to inspire and uplift those who heard the story. The vendor and the elderly woman proved that even the smallest gesture can set in motion a chain of positive events, transforming lives and building a more compassionate world. Their story served as a powerful reminder that kindness is a universal language with the ability to bridge gaps, heal wounds, and create lasting change.